Alright, in this video we're going to actually show you how to purchase the rental property and enter the HUD-1 settlement sheet in that you would be getting at closing. Now first off, most likely you're going to get the HUD-1 prior to closing. And if you're not getting them prior to closing, I would highly suggest you start getting them prior to closing because you want to make sure all the numbers are right and everything is good. First off, we have a general HUD-1. This is the HUD we're going to be using here. Okay. The numbers we're going to be concerned with as the buyer are these ones here on the right side of the settlement sheet, starting with line 101, contract sales price, going all the way down to line 303, and we need to bring a check to closing for the amount of $17,886.20. This particular transaction we have already put $1,000 down and we are getting a new loan of $20,000. So this should cover the average rental purchase that most people do. So how do we enter all this in? So let's go back to our Quickbooks file. First thing you can see is that from the last example we've already paid in $1,000 earnest money that we talked about doing in the last example. So now we're going to bring a check to closing for that $17,800 that we talked about. So first thing we want to do is write a check. Now what I did is I have created a memorized transaction called buy a rental, because we don't do this all the time, so I want to make sure I don't forget something. So I'm going to click on buy a rental, and it's going to give me a pre-made up check with a lot of the forms or a lot of the fields in the accounts that we just need to change. Now the first thing we need to change on here is, well, where's it coming from? Rental accounts, that's good. It's going to be paid to super settlements, and then we start filling in the information down the bottom. In the memo I usually just put buy 123 Main Street. Now this one is set up for North Street, so we're going to have to change that. The first thing we want to do is we have to tell it what is the contract sales price. Well, the contract sales price from line 101 is $36,250. $36,250. Now the field we want to put that in is we have a thing called rentals, and it's fixed assets. Every single rental building is going to be in here that we have as a rental asset. So since 123 Main Street doesn't exist yet, we're going to have to add it. So we want to say add new fixed asset, because it's a house or an apartment building, it's a major purchase. Continue. The sub account of rentals, and the account name will be 123 Main Street. And then say save close. So now we created a brand new rental called 123 Main Street, and if you notice up here in our chart of accounts it already appeared. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that down to the next line for settlement charges. When we buy something, the settlement charges are usually added to the basis of the house. So it's 113893, 1138.93, and that's from line 103 on the settlement sheet. So basically what we're doing is we picked up these two lines right now from the settlement sheet. Next thing we're going to have to enter in is our property taxes. They are $91.16, $58.81, and the school taxes $1347.30, $1347.30. Now again, if you look over here, that's these three numbers, lines 106, 107, and 108. Next thing done is we already paid in $1,000 of earnest money. Our settlement sheet is reflecting the $1,000 right here, so we need to add that in. Now because we already paid it, it's a subtraction. So we have $1,000, and it would be from the field earnest money down, the same field we posted it to in the prior example, so we didn't have to change anything. Now we're going to be creating a new mortgage on this. If you notice on our HUD, we're going to get a $20,000 first mortgage to help out with the cost here. So we put our $20,000 in, that's the principal amount of the new loan. But we need to set that loan up. A loan is a long-term liability under our notes and mortgages payable. Now we don't have one set up for 123 Main Street yet, so we're going to set that up brand new because it's a brand new property. So we're going to say add new, other account, long-term liability, continue, sub-account of notes and mortgages payable, and I usually like to put the property address and then a dash and what kind of mortgage it is. So it's 123 Main, a dash, and then I put first MTG. That way if it's a second or a line of credit, I can easily identify it and I know what property I'm dealing with. That's just my naming convention that works for me, but I think it's something wise to adopt rather than just call it mortgage one or give it some account number. Save, close. Then what we have now is the $20,000 put in there, and we can save this particular transaction. And if you notice when we do our recalculate, oh, I'm sorry, I made the $20,000 a positive. Since it is a loan, it's going to be a negative. And we do save, close, or recalculate. If you notice, 17,886.20 will now match the bottom. 17,886.20 matches exactly to the bottom of our HUD. We can save and close this now. Oh, one more thing I forgot, almost forgot, the class. This is the wrong house. So what we need to do is we need to come up to here and create a class, because we don't have, oh, we do have 123 Main Street already in there. So we want to make all of these 123 Main Street. So we want to change each one to the proper house that we're dealing with. Otherwise your stuff will not show up in the correct report. So as we go through here, we change all of them and they're all good. Now you can see that every single one is lined up for 123 Main Street. We do recalculate and we save, close, and now it is located in there. And we should be up here. If you can see, the total rental account for the checking is now reduced by the amount that we've sent out as a check. So there's our check to Super Settlements to be printed for $17,886. There's our $1,000 hand money that we used. The contract sales price plus settlement charges are now the basis of 123 Main Street in our rentals. So we have a fixed asset where we can track its basis. We now have a note and mortgage for 123 Main Street for $20,000 as a loan that we now have a liability for.